2021 is the year that you get a new house. Step 1, figure out a game plan. I can help with that. I'm Caroline Reed with The Real Deal, where we give you the confidence and the clarity that you need to make the right real estate decisions for you. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to go right down below and hit the subscribe button. So you've decided to buy a new house in 2021, but where do you start? Well, I have some advice for those people who are going to be buying in the next year. So step 1, save your money. Start today. Every penny that you can. There are a lot of costs involved in this process. So the more that you have, the better off you're going to be. Closing costs, escrow costs, inspection fees, earnest money, they're all going to add up. And the more that you have, the better off that you're going to be for a couple of reasons, which we will talk about as we go. But now that you've made that decision, that is your first step. Start saving that money. Don't open up any new accounts because the bank is going to be looking back at your history. And if you start opening up all these credit accounts, that is going to count against you. And now that we're talking about credit, see what you can do. If you've got great credit now, great. If you don't have great credit now, do what you can to boost that credit score between now and the time that you get pre-approved for your loan. The higher the score, the better off financially you're going to be. Number 2, go shop for a lender. Go out, do some homework, find an institution that you trust. And then within that institution, find somebody to work with that you trust. You're going to be working with this person a lot over this whole process. So if you can find somebody that you kind of jive with, that works well with you, that you kind of get along, that would be even better. Once you find that person, go ahead and get pre-qualified. It's kind of like pre-approval light, where you just give him your numbers verbally. He'll put them into the computer. He'll give you an idea of how much house that you can afford based on how much that you make and what your outstanding debt is. That will just give you a very good idea of how much house that you can shop for. And that person will be able to give you an idea of some of the options that you have based on what your financial situation looks like. There will be options. There's FHA mortgages versus conventional, 3% down versus 20% down. You guys can go through all of those scenarios and figure out which one of those is going to be best for you. And once you guys have kind of talked that through a little bit, my advice is to go home and stew on that for a little while. Run the numbers by yourself. Is the number that he gave you as, you can afford a house payment this big, is that really comfortable? A lot of times that number is bigger than what you really feel comfortable with, what is going to give you enough room to have emergency funds and things like that. So stew on those numbers and figure out if that really is as high as you want to go. If you're comfortable with that, are you happy with the options that you have? And then also start thinking about what are your wants and your needs in the new house that you're going to be looking for. And maybe you've thought this all through already, but it is very helpful before you actually start looking to know what are the things that you need to have, whether it's 4 bedrooms or whether it's in a specific city versus the things that you want. 3-car garage versus 2-car garage. That way, when you start looking, you'll know what things, where you can make the compromises. And then go ahead and start searching online. Just pick any of the real estate sites that are online and start looking around. Now that you've decided that it's 4 bedrooms, 3-car garage in a specific city, what does a house in that city with those bedrooms and garages, how much does that cost? Does that fit in your budget? If it doesn't, can you look for a different city? Or do you really only need 2-car garage? Start looking around so you're not surprised when you go out looking for real that the things that you want are not in your budget. Once you've stewed on that for a while and you feel good about the choices that you're making as far as what kind of loan, how much you're going to put down, what you can afford, where you're going to look, the next step number 3, is kind of a 2-pronged step. Prong 1 is to go get pre-approved with your lender. This is where you're going to actually give them financial documentation of how much you make, how much you have in the bank. Get that all set up. He's going to plug that all in so that when you are ready, you find that house, you will be able to get a pre-approval letter right away. The second prong is to go find a realtor. You can go and do this all by yourself, but a realtor is going to have lots of tools that are going to make it a lot easier. And when you're looking for a realtor, just like you did with your lender, go find somebody that you kind of jive with. Somebody that you're comfortable with and that you trust, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with that person as well. And once you find that person that you trust to bring you through this process, step 4 would be to have that realtor set you up on automatic emails. This is a function of the MLS system that they will get you set up on, where they will put in all of the criteria that you need. And when a house comes on the market that fits that criteria, you will get an email right away. This is going to come in really, really handy. 2021 right now is shaping up to be a very competitive year. 2020 was crazy. And considering interest rates are still low and they're going to be low for a while, inventory is still low. If we ever get a foreclosure wave, that's not going to happen for another year. So I don't see any reason why 2021 is going to be any different than 2020, at least at this point. So you are going to want to be ready to go at a moment's notice. So getting email alerts that a house that fits your criteria just went on the market is going to give you an advantage time-wise, so you can get over there and look at that house and be one of the first ones. You certainly don't have to go through this process with your realtor. You certainly can just keep an eye on any of the downriver sites, any of the sites that pull their data from the MLS, like Zillow and Opendoor and Redfin. They all do draw from the MLS, but they only do so at certain intervals. So having it straight from the MLS is certainly going to be the quickest way for you to be notified when something new comes on the market. And that way you can be sure that you will not miss out. And also, please do not miss out on going down below and hitting that like button. All right, so you've gone out, you've done all of the looking, and you have found that perfect house, and you are ready to make an offer. So my last and 5th piece of advice is be the strongest buyer that you can be to get that offer accepted. And the strongest offers are the ones who have the least number of contingencies. At least that's one facet of it. So let's talk about some of these contingencies. One contingency might be the sale of the home that you already have. That is a really tough hurdle for a seller to jump over when they want to sell their house now, because that's pretty risky. So if you already have a house now, make sure that that house is in sale ready condition, so that you don't have to use that contingency necessarily. Or have that house sold already when you go out to look for a new one. Again, kind of risky, but it will make you a stronger buyer in your offer. Another contingency is the inspection. Now, I do recommend always getting an inspection because you never know. But one thing you can do is make your inspection contingency window, the amount of time that you have to get the inspection done, get the results, and then negotiate with the seller if there are any problems with that inspection. That whole amount of time, shrink that up to as short of a time as you can. That will certainly help. If you have a friend who's an inspector who can come and take a look at the house for you, so you don't have to have an official inspection, that would be another way to do it. Or if you're buying something relatively new, let's just say it's a townhouse that's only 5 years old, maybe you could go without that inspection. Again, I always recommend an inspection, but use your judgment. sometimes it's just not as important as other times. Also, if you are just on the edge of maybe thinking, maybe I don't need an inspection on this 2-year-old townhouse, you can get yourself a home warranty instead that will guarantee that anything that goes wrong in the next year will be taken care of. Another way to strengthen that offer is to increase the amount of earnest money that you put down. Earnest money is that upfront cash that says we are serious about this deal. Now, generally, at least in my market, earnest money is about 1% of the sale price. But don't be afraid to boost that up. That just tells the seller that you are serious, that if something goes wrong with the deal, you are willing to risk a serious chunk of change. So you really are serious about buying this house. That goes a long way. And lastly, there is strength in your financing. The bigger that your down payment is, and also what kind of loan that you choose. If you choose a conventional loan over an FHA loan, that is going to make you a stronger buyer. FHA loans have a separate appraisal that they have to pass. And a lot of times that FHA appraiser is going to ask for extra work to be done, which is kind of a problem. So if a seller is looking at an option between a conventional loan and an FHA loan, they're probably going to accept the conventional loan because it means less hassle for them. So if you can do this on a conventional loan, that will make you a stronger buyer as well. Ready to start diving in for more information? Well, you certainly can click right up here and watch this video on how to get a conventional loan with only 5% down. You can also click right here and hit the subscribe button. See you next time.